Hello and welcome to Legos Unhinged. Today our video is on tops. We're covering all sorts of tops, from big to small, pointy to fairly not pointy, and weird looking to weird looking, speaking about all of them, especially this weird one. Anyway, let's get going. So let's start with the most important thing about the top, its point. This one happened to use a Sensei hat, one of those weird straw hat things from the LEGO Ninjago series, which has this really weird point on the top, which is great for a top. This is one of my favorites. It tends to go around a lot, walk around, and fly around, swing around, however you'd call that. On to the next topic. This one is one of my better ones because it's heavier, it's got its rubber side, and I can actually use to start other tops. Like these saw blade ones, these both have just a little pull at the end, which is a really simple and easy way to get a good top. This one's just hard to start. To get started though, it goes really well. It can be used to start other tops. At least some of the time. There we go. That is why that is one of my favorite tops as well. I guess all of these are one of my favorite tops. Should probably stop saying that. This next one is quite a weird one. It's really tall, which means it's not very balanced. It doesn't stay up for much. It's, unlike most of the other ones, it's not one of my favorite tops, though it does look cool. It's got this ball at the end, which is a really easy way to do a top, though I guess all of these are really easy ways. Tops are generally easy to make, only taking a few pieces. Let's see how that one does. It's a fairly good spin for this top, and it'll fall over as it starts hitting. There we go. One of my tops. Now we go on to this one. This one has to be my favorite. It's got this round plate on the bottom. Now this round plate is wide enough that this top does something special. When it's at rest, it is perfectly flat. It's not leaning on one side like this top would. This top leans over when it's at rest. This one is flat. You can push it on one side and it'll tilt back to center. That means that this one spins for a really long time. Also, it's got its bladed arms of doom, which means it's fairly effective. Lastly, this is the same tire as before, we've just got a different head on it. This is one of those ball socket joint heads, which lets it spin in a different way than the rest do. Still spins, still works, but the ball is just a different ball. And as we can see, it's fairly effective. So let's move on to the first top and how to build it. First top to be dissected are Sensei Wu hat top. So this one starts out with a 4 stud length pull, and then we've got our Sensei Wu hat, and 3 discs. One is 2 studs wide, one is 3 studs wide, and one is 4 studs wide. What we do is put the Sensei Wu hat on top of the largest one, put the smallest one on top of the medium one, stick the pull down the top of those, flip this one over and stick those down in there. Pretty simple and easy top. Doesn't roll on carpet though the rest of these don't. Let's move on to this top. This one's a fairly easy one as well. I'm using two wide dishes and this little pull here. This is one of those staff pulls. You don't actually need the dishes. You don't need the dishes on the last one either, except for the 4 wide dish. These are just for decoration. They make the tops look a bunch cooler and also give them some more weight. So first what we need to do is to stick this pull down the center like you just saw me do. Stick one regular dish on the bottom, one on the top. I have experimented with different colors of dishes and those help it too, just because color is color and color is nice. Though right now I'm just going to go for this kind of wheel look, where it's gray and black and gray and sad. Let's put that off to the side. Next you saw these. This is just one of those blade pieces and another 4 long pull stuck down so the pull is sticking slightly out the bottom. That gives us our little spinner tip. I've actually got 2 of those. I've got a 3rd blade. I don't know where it is, but it's off somewhere. Next, I believe I showed you this one. This one just uses this crazy wheel thing. There are other types of crazy wheels things, but for this one we're using this crazy wheel thing. We've got one of these 3 long friction connectors. We've got one of these end-to-end connectors wherever it went. There we go. It's looking kind of weird in the camera. Please forgive me for that. Then we've got a blue axle connector thing on our ball piece. And then this, again, another one of those kind of things, the same as the white one we had on top. And that's this one. I'm going to just try to spin it on carpet, which doesn't work, but it gets it out of the screen, so that's great. Next, I believe I showed you this one. This one is quite a bit more complex. That's mostly because it's mostly decoration. So we've got 4 of these arms, and 4 of these arms. I'm going to show you how to build those real quick. First, let me take the rest of these off, so we can get to the main core of this. So we need 4 of these and 4 of these, putting those right up there. And here are all the things we need in our center axle. Now, colors don't matter. I'm just using these colors because that's the color I like, and it makes it look cool to me. You can pick whatever color you like. So let's start from the bottom up because these pieces aren't coming off. I've got a 2x2 curved dish there, as I was telling you, for the hinge thing on the bottom. I've got an octagon plate, which goes on top. I've got this 2x2 dish, which goes on top of that. We have a second octagon plate, which goes on again on top. I'll explain why we've got 2 later. It goes with these 2 clips. I'll explain that. We've got a radar dish on top of one of these stud jumper things, if I can get them off. Let's see if that works. There we go. This is one of those 2x2 dishes with one hole in the center. Let's see, does that help? I think that helps the camera. Okay, so we put that one on top. And put our blue radar dish on top of that. And then our blue pole going straight down through all the way to the very bottom. I find a shorter axle is helpful when you can. Though you need to have it be long enough so you can grab it. The shorter it is, the less top heavy your weight will be. Your top will be. The more top heavy your top will be, the more likely it is to fall over. The less top heavy, the better it'll spin. If it's more wide, less tall. Next, we've got these arms. So for this long arm, we need a long clip. Though a short clip would work, we do need a short clip, and that has to be a short clip. We need a 1x2 plate. Sorry, those are out of the frame. My bad. We've got one of these 4 long slopes. You put the clip on the top of that, plate right beneath that, and then this clip on the bottom. That allows us to clip this into both bars, so this is firm. That's one of the important things. This top is actually collapsible because all these 4 arms fold up. But then the problem is, if they're not even, if you've got, say, one of these is in and the rest are all kind of out like that, the top isn't even, then it won't spin right. But if they're all even, all pushed in and attached, so they're all flat, then you know it's going to spin better because they're all attached in. Next, we've just got a cheese slip on top of a 1x1 clip there. Now I can put this on the bottom ring and hinge it up, just because that makes it look cool. And there we go. This is my favorite collapsible top. It's also my favorite top, but one of the reasons it's my favorite is because it's collapsible. Next, we've got this one. This one, I'm going to be showing you something special about this one later in the video. We've got this hinge thing here. It goes in the shallow side of this. The one with the star on it. The one with the 6 dots gets this. The pole with this connector. You can also put one of the half things there, because this connector actually only goes halfway in, and that spins fairly well. But the way I'm going to show you later is where you switch these, so that this is in the shallow side and this is in the deep side, which means it won't work as a top because the sides touch before the bottom does, but that actually works to our advantage in the example I'll show you later. Hello, welcome to later. The time is now later. I promised you I'd show you something later, and it is later now. This is one of those half stud connector pieces stolen off the top from earlier, geared up to a motor by crazy proportions, connected to a battery box. So basically all that means when I flip this switch, that starts spinning really fast. So there we go, let's leave that on there. Please leave that there. If I can. I might have to take it off, just because I feel like taking it off, but we're going to try to leave it there. So now let's watch what happens when we turn this on. Steady this, because it's kind of wobbly, if we can. And then dump this on top of it. Not much. Because, as you can see, I have no patience. However, if we take one of these, this creates a top thing I showed you earlier where the tire touches the ground before, but now that is useful because now we have the tire lower down. Because its weight is lower, that means it actually tries to stay on better. So there's one, and here's two. If it will cooperate. Which it won't. Anyway, that is something interesting I came up with, which is trying to tear me apart right now. I just find this interesting because it's a way we can start a top, though from here it's rather inconvenient to try to get it to spin. I haven't found a way to make that work, and with some types it won't work. For instance, I have yet to be able to get this even when I've got my motor on a level non-carbon surface, mostly because of that. As I try to place it down, it starts spinning around because its circle is just too wide. However, this, I found, while it's on a level surface, actually does work. And this, when it's built, when I'm not stealing pieces from it, also kind of works. Kind of. Sometimes. Anyway, let's just get back to tops, because that was a unusual off day. So, the question comes up, which top is the coolest? And I'm not going to say that really depends on what you think, because that's just a lame answer. I'm actually going to try to find out which is coolest. And I think the answer actually winds up being whatever goal you have in mind. Generally, I find heavier to be better, because heavier spins for longer, and can throw around other tops easier. And wider and lower tend to be better for slow, long movements, because these both spin for fairly long when they spin right, though they are hard to get spun correctly. And then for forked or smooth, I think that really depends on the way you're playing. Whether you want it to move around and just knock other pieces around, whether you want to just sit there and wait for other pieces to knock in it, really depends on the smooth. Though I will say, concerning heavy, I do find light to be fun because those ones tend to move around a bunch. For instance, off the tray. And that is one reason I do really like light. Though sometimes heavy just wants everything. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate when people actually bother to watch to the end of my movies, because I can see that, and it lets me know that people kind of enjoyed listening to me talk over and over and over again and keep talking consistently, which might get boring after a while. Anyway, I like to leave things at the end of my videos for people to look at. You may remember my Micro Guardian Scout video. If you do, then replace the 2x2 disc with a 2x2 square tile with one stud in the middle. Put the head on top, and you've got one of the normal Guardians. If you lift its legs up, however, you can get a fairly good top. At least, kind of good. Maybe not compared to this giant wheel thing over here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week, hopefully with something even greater than this.